Yeah, I'm watching the rise, and I wouldn't say I'm shocked, cause I'm hardly surprised. This one's for the ride, this one's for who knew I'd make it, just needed some time. This one's for my wife, could've left 1,000 times just about my side. This one's for the grind, I knew it.
What's up, everyone? My name is Randy Kaye, and I am the host of the Caught Up podcast. Today we have Gabriella Garcia. Gabby is a graduated senior from Chandler, Arizona, and she is headed to the University of Oklahoma. She has just finished up championship play in Indiana with the Batbuster Stith program. Gabby has also helped Basha High School win a 6A state title in 2023, and she is also a standout track and field athlete who throws the javelin. She's had many successes along the way. Gabby, it's great to see you. Thanks for taking the time to catch up.
Oh no, yes, I'm just glad to be here. I'm really excited, honestly.
Awesome. How are things for you right now?
Things are good. It's kind of weird, I'm not gonna lie, considering that 2 days ago was the last time I'm gonna ever put on a club jersey. So I guess a little emotional, but also really exciting, getting ready to start my new phase in college. So, but I'm really good.
Nice. Are you ready for that next chapter? You said it was a little bit sad, but maybe bittersweet. You just kind of ready for that next chapter?
Yeah, I'm honestly really ready. I feel like these last 2 years, I just really been preparing really hard ever since I verbally committed to the University of Oklahoma, and I just been really working really, really hard. And I feel like Coach Mike has done a great job at putting me on a stage and applying a lot of pressure to me and my other fellow teammates on the Batbusters, and just getting me prepared to go play on one of the biggest stages in college. So
yeah, there's been no shortage for you as far as being on a big stage, whether it was high school. There's a lot of, I know after you won your first one and some of the accolades you had coming in and just where you play the club level, coming into high school, being on that big stage, going into and playing for Mike Stith. Prior to that, you were with Todd Judge. Is that correct, from the Suncats, right? I
was, yes. And he's an amazing guy. And gosh, I wish him the best of, and he's doing great things right now at Utah State. And I mean, I'm just so excited to watch him build that program up. So
yeah, you're starting to see that even his coaches obviously are former players and people that he's had around or that know who he is and how he does things. And so that's kind of exciting. Tell me about where did you grow up? Did you grow up here in Arizona?
Yeah, so it's funny. Me and my family, we're all natives here. My grandparents are natives here. So, I mean, these are my roots. These are my stomping grounds. And I'm honestly proud to be from Arizona. And it's a big thing in my family. Like, we're so prideful just to know that we are Arizonians and that these are our roots. And I mean, even though I'm going to college in Oklahoma, you never forget where you come from. And I mean, so many stories that growing up here and everything, it's unimaginable.
So you mentioned it, going to the University of Oklahoma. I have to think that, with your mom's history, Kara, at Arizona State, that had to be a little bit of an interesting conversation, having to, either tell them no. I don't even know the story, to be honest, whether I'm sure it was an option, but deciding on the University of Oklahoma, what was that like?
Honestly, both my parents are really super supportive of it. They just want me to go. They wanted me to go somewhere that I felt at home and I felt happy, and I felt like going to an area where I felt like I can grow and thrive in. And I mean, Coach Gasso instills such great morals, and the same morals that I've been raised on, like that blue collar work ethic and never take anything for granted. You are a person before the athlete, just all those things. And there's so many great programs out there. I really found a home at Oklahoma. So
you just knew it, right? You just knew once you it felt right.
It did.
I think most players would tell you that, and all the kids that I've known over the years, They go on visits. They like it. They may like the itinerary or whatever the school has had laid out for them to come. And then, they go on 2 or 3 of those, and it's going to be one of those that just stands out to them. I'm sure also the success and, the big things that they're doing at Oklahoma had to help, right? You seem like a player that looks for that pressure and looks for that challenge. And I don't know if there's a bigger challenge out there than to go try to kind of regroup and see if you can continue the traditions at OU.
Totally. I love to compete, honestly. And going in as a freshman at the University of Oklahoma, I'm gonna be faced with those challenges, and I want to go and I want to compete, and I'd like to earn a spot, and whatever I can do to help this program win again, and where I fit in that puzzle as a puzzle in this whole puzzle, and it's crazy, and I'm just really looking forward to it. So,
what are you most excited about going to Oklahoma?
I'm excited, honestly, for the culture. I'm excited to meet people. If you ever go out to Oklahoma, it's a very, the culture out there is just completely different from where just other areas in our country. They're very welcoming and everyone's super nice to each other. Not saying it's not in other states, but I really felt warm when I was down there. And I don't know, I love the blue collar mindset, and I feel like Oklahoma's kind of based on that. And I don't know. I just feel very blessed. So
I was fortunate enough to go and watch a couple games there. My youngest daughter played at Grand Canyon, and Grand Canyon got to go play at OU. And so I was fortunate enough to go kind of check things out. And I know exactly what you mean about the environment. Campus is awesome. Everyone's really friendly. But it's got to be easy to be friendly when all you do is win. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
we're gonna give them that, and hopefully that continues, obviously, for years to come, and I'm sure it will. But what gives you the most anxiety about, or maybe that's not the right word, but what are the opposite thoughts of excitement about going to?
If thoughts necessarily with OU, I'm more just worried because I'm a homebody. I'm an introvert. My family is my everything. And I don't know, I'm 14 hours away from home. And I think that's the most scariest part is the unknown. And am I going to find a crowd to fit in with? And walking in already as an athlete, you already kind of fit in with that group, which is awesome. You feel already a sense of belonging with that. And with my other incoming freshmen, we know each other. I played with Corey Hicks, obviously on the Batbusters. So I know I have people coming in, Ella Parker, Maya Bland, T.R.A. Jennings was a former Batbusters, Kenzie Hansen was a former Batbusters, Nicole May, Alina Torres played for Todd. I know there's such a group coming in, but the unknown of how all of that's going to play out and what's going to be like just being away from home. But I would say that's just really it, just because I'm a homebody, so.
Yeah. So no anxiety, just a little uncertainty, just a little bit of, wondering how much you're going to miss home. And I'm sure they'll keep you busy enough to where you're going to be fine. And obviously the support system is amazing from what I've been told. So I think you'll be fine. So let's talk a little bit about, you played softball early on. Who did you play for early on? I remember you very young, and I remember your mom had a team prior to, I think, you even playing. She had a Storm team back when she had an 18U Storm team back when I had a 16U group that I was bringing up. And then I just remember her kind of, taking some time off and then coming back with a young group, and that was obviously you, right?
Yeah.
So tell me about those years and are there any kids that you played with that are already in college? Are there, is there a group of kids you keep in contact with? Who tell me about that time of your life.
Okay. Well, first, I grew up at a softball field. there's sometimes people will come up to me and they're like, oh my gosh, you're so big. And I'm like, I don't know who you are. And they're like, well, I used to babysit you. I used to be in the dugout. And I don't know. It's just, I've grown up on the softball field. Softball's kind of all I've ever known. And
who comes to mind when you say that? Who comes to mind? Like, is anyone specific that came and said that to you that you're like, that you found out later? Oh my God, that's so and so.
No, not on the top of my head.
Okay.
But yeah. So I grew up on a softball field, and then my parents put me in a whole bunch of different sports, and people actually assume that my mom really, really wanted me to play softball, and she might have, but she's always conveyed it to us that choose whatever you want to do and what your heart desires, and we're going to do our best as parents to instill this. You have to work hard for it, and provide you with that environment to succeed in. And so when I was young, I'd play all these different sports. I tried basketball, soccer, and I kind of fell in love with softball. So I told my mom, and she decided to start a little 10U club team. I was 8 years old at the time, and Tanya Windle was on that team, who's now ASU. So, I mean, I keep in touch with her still. She actually just texted me the other day congratulating me on just the amazing season and talking about how it's crazy, how we've known each other for so long, and just all that stuff. It's honestly it's crazy. And it's so funny because I feel like when I was younger, people didn't realize how small I really was, and only certain people really understand the growth I've made. I was a really tiny, small, scrawny kid. I mean, just coming into my freshman year of high school, I was barely breaking 80 pounds, super tiny, super small, kind of very weak, but I love to play, and and I just worked really hard, and I was always told I wouldn't be able to get to this big stage that I've been able to get to. And I don't know, maybe that fueled my fire for a really long time, but I'm happy for that little kid who no one wanted her, too small. That's just all the normal, typical stuff, the doubters, but I'm happy for that kid, because she deserves it, and she worked really hard for it.
I remember, and we could talk a little bit about this, but I remember you really young, like you're saying, that little, and I'll use the word since you used it, scrawny kid, right?
Yeah.
That little, small, scrawny kid that was always kind of trying to fight against some of the older ones, right? And find her way, within the team that you were on. And then I remember, I knew your mom had started another team called the Ramblers. Mm-hmm. And I remember Tanya Windle, everybody wanted her to move up to, I think, 16U to go play, because, I would agree, and we can talk about I want to touch on this with you a little bit too, that at a certain point, you got to move up and face the best kids that you can face the best pitching as a fielder, face, the best hitters. And, but I remember Tanya staying down to play 14 with your mom and with your grandpa, Greg, because he's a great outfield coach. Yeah. For those that don't know. But Tanya caught a lot of heat, and I remember Mike caught a lot of heat for that. But that might have been the best thing that she could have done, because she just turned into this amazing player. And I remember seeing Todd. I remember seeing you out there with Todd Judge after the Ramblers went away, and I think you might have been a freshman. We went down to scrimmage you guys one weekend, and I told Todd, I go, man, I said, that kid looks different now. She is just your motor, your feet, your mouth, the way you walked around on the field was not the little Gabby that I remembered. And I remember telling a college coach, a local college coach at that time, I'm like, you got to go see, because I think it's going to be different. But tell me, do you remember the story about Tanya staying down? Do you remember any of that? Does that ring a bell?
No, I definitely, no, I do. I remember everyone was just no, everyone wanted her to move up. And I mean, I see why, right? But at the same time, it was the best thing for her. I feel like my mom taught her as much as she possibly could. And I think she really prepared Tanya for Todd for the intellectual and same with my grandpa. And
Yep.
I think just in like getting that IQ and teaching her the game. And I mean, we kind of lose that nowadays. Like there's not a lot of coaches who teach the game. I mean, I know you're one who still harps on trying to teach kids how to play softball. And I think that's why I'm so excited for you and my mom to match up. Because I think it's bringing back that IQ back to the game, because I mean, kids lose that now. And it's not bad necessarily. It's just when you get to the higher level and when you go to play for a team like Mike Stitt, somebody who everyone might think, oh, he recruits the best players and oh, all this nonsense. And although some of it might be true, right? At the same time, he harps on the little things. He really does. And it's funny, our last team discussion after we lost the Corona Angels, he's like, now you guys know why I harp on the little things, right? Because there were just little errors that we made that it cost us the game. It really did.
Do you remember one in specific? Like not pointing anybody out, but just a scenario in specific that was one of those little things?
I'll call myself out on this one. So it's what knocked us in the losers bracket, actually. So we were playing Iowa Premier, and it was a 0-0 ball game. We were hitting the ball really, really well. It just was not falling for us, honestly. And so what happened was, I don't remember how the girl got on first base, but the girl got on first base and they bunted the ball. And I was at shortstop, and our third baseman turned to go throw it to me. And I didn't go to the front of the bag to receive the catch. I was on the side of the bag. And so just by me not simply stepping towards the ball and standing more lateral, it kind of cost us the game. And then runners ended up on first and second, and they bunted again. Our third baseman threw me the ball. We got the out. And me maybe feeling, I don't know how to describe it. I guess maybe I was doing a little too much than what I needed to do. But I look out of the corner of my eye, and the batter who bunted the ball was barely halfway down the line. So I grabbed the ball, and I chucked it. And I kind of airmailed it over the first baseman's head. And so the runner who then was on second advanced all the way home. And she ended up scoring. Our right fielder threw her out, actually, but our catcher didn't secure the ball. And so she ended up scoring, and that's honestly what cost us the game. So, I mean, it's something so little, so minor that people don't realize, but it was a bunt. Like, that's how we lost, off a bunt. It wasn't a home run. It wasn't a walk-off. It was an unearned error based off our defense, we made one single flaw, right? So, I mean.
So you get to the front side of the bag, or the closest side of the bag to where your third baseman's throwing the ball from. You get that out, is one out. You keep her off 2, and they're going to go 1 out, runner at 1.
Yeah, 1 out, runner at 1.
It's funny too, because like, and I 100% agree with that. And thank you, by the way, for mentioning that your mom is coaching with me next year. I appreciate that. I'm super excited about that. By the way, I think when people look at you, and I've even heard Todd Judge say this to me. He said, I tried to put pressure on her and put her in the right games, but Kara did that. Kara trained her, and then of course you, waking up and doing the things that you do, or acknowledging and accepting the things that are required to become that type of athlete, is all on you. So, but props to you for that. But Todd Judge has always said that to me, or he said that to me a few times. But man, that's good. But I always talk about the small stuff too, and to me, like, I feel like sometimes players get tired of hearing it. Like, you want to keep saying it. Hey, don't throw in, same situation, bunt situation, make sure you're up. Let's not get beat. Don't throw into the runner. Don't throw down the line into the runner. Things like that are super hard to continuously say over and over, but you have to.
No, 100%.
Right? Because it's going to come back to bite you at some point if you're not, if you don't stay on it.
It's so annoying, but it's so tedious.
Right. And
it's
as
so
a player,
important. It's so important.
Right. But like, as a player, what do you, like you just said, you get tired of hearing it, right? I know, coach. I know. But like, the end of the day, you have to hear it. and he has to say it, and the coach has to say it. Bunt situation, corners up, feet and hands every time. Like, we're talking about it every time. But I'll be honest, over last week, there were times where I didn't say it because I felt like I got tired of saying it.
Yeah.
And that's a little thing on a coach that I got to get over. I got to be better at that. You mentioned the little kid that some people may not have thought would get to a certain point. Do you really think that's what fueled you? That desire, that chip on your shoulder that said, "Hey, look, I'm going to prove everyone wrong." Was that a little piece?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, it did. I really loved to play softball, and that's what fueled me, honestly, to work harder than everyone else, right? Because I love to play in general. When I was younger, my mom was like, "Why don't you enjoy practice?" I was like, "I just want to play in games. Why do we need practice? Like, I'll just play in games." And but she taught me that, listen, you're here and everyone else is here, and you need to catch them. And in order to catch them, you have to work harder than them. And I remember one day I woke up and it just clicked. And from there on out, I became a workhorse, and I just kept working, and I just see myself slowly gaining on everybody. And kids who at the time, especially when I was younger, who were a lot better than me, I see myself now passing them. And now I'm going after another kid. And I just, to keep gaining ground. And slowly it's like, oh my gosh, it all makes sense now. I understand why my mom tells me to work on these little things. It's just, and it's so minor, but it just makes sense. And I don't know. I can't help it now. Now that's like all I want to do. It's like, it almost becomes an obsession, right? To wanting to keep getting better, and what am I capable of, and discovering what you can do as an athlete and how you are as a player. And it's in every aspect, when it's in studying the game and sitting down and watching a college softball game, and you watch teams make little errors, and you're like, and then you watch them, how it affects the game future, and like by the seventh inning, or it's just hitting, or it's all this stuff that builds on each other that I learned probably when I was like in 7th or 8th grade, and it kind of all clicked, and it kind of just fueled my fire. And so it's funny when you said that, when you saw me, right, when I was playing for Todd, it was around that time where it all made sense. And I probably did become a different player, because everything started working, everything started clicking. I'm watching my results pay. I'm watching all the years of work finally paying off. And it's hard not to, once you see results, you can't help to want to continue to see them. So.
Right. It's like working out. Like, if you quit after a month, you're probably not going to see anything. Although there are some benefits that you've probably, or some gains that you've made, but there's definitely maybe not, you don't see it. So it's safe to say, like, you had a process, you were told this is how you get there. And I assume this was kind of set in motion by your mom.
100%.
You want to be here, we're going to get you there, but you're way behind. These kids are way up here, and we're going to get you there. So you just trusted the process. I mean, it's so cliche, and everybody says it. There's shirts and Instagram posts made with all that stuff, but you truly did that. What did a regular day look like for you once it clicked, once you went over to Sun Cats and Todd and said, shoot, I have a chance to come play here? Do you remember who was in front of you at that time at shortstop, or within that middle infield? Because you were at second when I remember seeing you.
So at the time, it was probably Logan Cole, honestly. It was probably Logan Cole.
Another good player.
Yeah, Logan Cole.
Yeah.
And
so you had to go
Selena Solis. Solis, I think it's her last.
Oh, yeah.
Her too. Both of them.
Yep.
Amazing ball players. And then even before them, Blaze. Like, you know what I'm saying? And so it's funny, like, I remember going out to my first practice, and I don't want to say going nose to nose with them in like a bad way, but I remember being this little freshman going against these juniors, and I don't know what it was. I just kind of enjoyed it. And I was like, okay, like, I watched her get a ball. I'm like, I'm going to catch the ball. I'm going to catch that ball. Like, right. And it was just like internal competition that I feel like it made me better. And that's something I kept trying to tell, like, our little young Basha freshman. It's so minor, but it's such a big deal. Like you want to catch somebody. Like, and I think you hear that's the Michael Jordans, that's the Michael Phelps, that's the Kobe Bryants. It's the same thing. And it is so cliche, but it's like, it's so weird because I feel like there is no secret to success. It's just the people who are willing to do it. And you have to make sacrifices that no one wants to do. And that's why they are part of the 1%, right?
Right.
And I don't know. I made a decision that I wasn't going to go to high school dances. I wasn't going to go to parties. I wasn't going to do this. I focused on school and I focused on softball and I focused on family. That was it. I didn't hang out with people. I don't know.
The most successful people do that, right? They have a goal. You had a goal. You had a goal to play softball at a high level or to catch some of those that were in front of you, and you made that goal, and you didn't let anything deter you from that. And I tell people all the time, even for us, like, I would have to tell you right now that I'm in a weird spot because we've had a lot of success over the years, and the last 2 years, my teams have gone 0-2 at PGF. Last year at 16U, this year at 18U. And I think I know why. I do. To me, there's a sacrifice that you make to go compete. And if it's not the most important thing, then it's not the most important thing, right? It's probably going to, if it's on the back burner, winning and success is probably on the back burner, which is fine. It's just not what I want.
Yeah, of course.
But what does in order to have that mindset, like, what does your day look like? Like, once you decided to make that transition and go catch somebody, what did your training, what did your days look like?
I could talk more recent and like this senior year kind of thing. So I started going to this gym called Suffer City. Janae Berry goes to it. It is amazing. My sister's been going to it for 2 months now. And just watching her grow and get stronger. And it's an incredible gym. Like, for anyone who lives in the Chandler area, it's off of Warner. I had 10 out of 10 recommend them. They push you. They push you really hard. It's kind of CrossFit-y. So I would wake up before school and I would go to Suffer City. After school, I would go and climb. I would rock climb, actually.
Really?
Yeah. And then after that, I would go and I would hit and I'd field with my mom. And then depending on how I finished, I would either cold plunge or do some sort of recovery, either bright and early in the middle of the day, right before school, like after Suffer City, or I would go late in the afternoon. And yeah, just honestly continuing on with that cycle. And most people say it gets boring, and I could see why. But when you're chasing something, to you, it's not a task. It's a want. You want to wake up and you want to do it. And I think that's a big thing that some kids miss, is that they don't, and I don't know. I think that's what's so great about Mike Stith is I know when I'm standing alongside all of these other great athletes, yes, they are so talented, but they're like me. They want it, right? And so they wake up and they go and they work out at STC, and they go and they do their conditioning, they do the running, they do the hitting with Coach Mike and all that. And so I think that's why we all work together so well, because we all have that common goal of we want to win and we want to go and compete at the highest level. And so there's a lot of people that say they want to win, but their actions show otherwise, right?
Yeah. How often did you do that? Was that scheduled every day?
So I would probably say 4 times a week, because typically on Fridays I'd go to California. So I would go from Monday to Thursday, and then I'd go. My off day was my drive to California, actually. Go sit in a car for 6 hours, wake up. They would do a team lift, and then we'd go and practice from like 11 o'clock to like 2 o'clock-ish. And then we'd wake up the next morning and have another 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. or 11 to noon practice, and then I drive home, wake up, and I do it all over again. It's like it was a continuous cycle on repeat all the time. So
for 2 years.
Yeah, pretty much.
So the drive, actually, I'm sure, was probably a lot of softball still, right?
Yeah.
Talking the game, talking, the week prior, working out and what you were working on and how it was getting better. And I mean, I had to think both drives was nothing but like classroom talk.
No, it really was, especially like on the Sundays coming home. It was, okay, so what were your flaws this weekend? What were your flaws in the game? What could we do better this week to prepare you for the next week? And it was it was a classroom. It was learning.
You're hitting. I remember talking to your mom about this years ago. She hates hitting. Like, she doesn't really enjoy teaching hitting.
Yeah.
But even then, I know she throws to you. I mean, I assumed every day. Like,
Yeah.
I assumed it was almost every day. How much was that? Like, truthfully, like, it couldn't have been 3 hours worth of work, right? How many, was it like a certain amount of drills? Was it a certain amount of balls? Was it a feel thing? Was it a time thing? What did that look like?
It depended on the day. So some days we just we'll do all T work. Some days we do T work into hitting. So I'd at least hit for sure 100 balls every day. And just depending on the day, whether it was all off the tee. On the days we did T2 hitting, like live, I would say around 200 balls. And on the day, sometimes I would just do straight live, at least 100 balls. And to me, it's not just, though I didn't just hit though. I also practiced other aspects that people don't work on as much. Like, I'd bunt at least 100 balls. I would hit at least 100 balls. And then we'd go and I'd field. And that was at least 100 balls almost every day.
I know your mom's big on touches. Like, she talks about touches. Like, you have to touch the ball as a infielder. I remember going over to what was that guy's name? He had that facility, or he had like a landscaping business.
Brian Smith. Yeah.
Brian Smith. So Brian had that landscape facility, and I know that you guys. I went and watched a couple times, and you guys were doing just the basic one hop stuff from different glove angles. Like, truly focusing on posture and things like that, and like just working through. And your mom always talks about touches. Like, she wants a certain amount of touches. You got to touch the ball in different directions and with different body movements. And was that about the same, like you said, about 100 a day?
Yeah. Oh gosh, she's so big on feet and she's so big on touches, and that's what we do. That's all we ever work on is feet and touches. And
Angles.
It's so weird. Angles. It's very mathematical, but at the same time, it's very kind of funky when you think about it, because it's like I said, learning what your body's capable of. So you're putting yourself in positions that you didn't realize that you could put yourself in. I don't know. It's glove work, hand-eye coordination, ton of that. I mean, there'll be days, like, I don't think people believe me when I say this. There'll be days where she literally won't pick up a bat and she rolls me ground balls and I'll be on my knees, and then I'll stand up, and then I'm doing ladders, and it's true. It is. And
it's so important.
It is. It's the fundamentals of the game.
People don't realize it. If you were a young shortstop or a young ball player right now, 7th, 8th, 9th grader, and you wanted to learn the game and become the best infielder that you possibly could, and I know you're going to say, you're going to agree with me. But, like, I don't think, because I know I've been doing around this game for a long time, since about 2000, 2001.
Yeah.
When my kids started, and I was, taking them to fielding lessons, or I've been around so many coaches, all of them, you name them, I've seen them. But I don't think there's a better fielding coach or game IQ coach than Garcia.
No, I 100% agree with you. And yes, she is my mom, and everyone's going to say, well, it's her mother. And no, she is so smart, and she loves to coach, and she breaks it down. And my mom's not in it for the money. And I mean, if you've ever come to our lessons and people pay her, it's not very much. Like, trust me, she's not in it for the money. Nope. She wants to find kids who want to work and who want to learn. And I don't know. And the things I've watched her create so many great athletes. I mean, Harmony, for example, started out young with my mom. Now she's going to Cal.
Yep.
I mean, there's so many. And
didn't she coach that group that just graduated for Mathis that was with Apple? Didn't she coach that whole group too?
She started off. She coached that group. She coached Kate Vance. She coached Sierra Daniel. And she broke down all the fundamentals of them. And I mean, I don't know. She
has a passion. And I would call it just like you just called it. She has an obsession to make infielders and to make defense look right and flow properly. We talk about it all the time. Like, she'll call me and we'll talk about certain things, and she'll maybe have caught a game somewhere, and she's like, man, I just, or she'll see a kid that she's known from Arizona when they were younger, and she's like, Randy, is that kid getting better? Like, I don't, like, I want to see these kids get better.
Yeah.
And that's why I was trying to talk her into, like, doing lessons again, like doing fielding lessons, because I think every kid could benefit. And now, fortunately for me, and for all the Rogue FC kids, she's with us. And so I'm excited for the entire group of, 12s and 14s and all the way up to 18s. Anybody that's going to be in this org is going to have an opportunity to work with her. Mm-hmm. And because it was cool, as, people may not know, but last fall she was working with our infielders.
Yeah.
And it was only, once a week, because that's all we practiced. And I'm thinking this is going to be a different situation where we're going to do a lot more. But for you to come out and push those kids and show drills and just kind of how things are done. Gosh, I wish we had some video of you when you first started, because the transition, like, look, you can start here and end up here. Like, it's really no lie. And like you said, the recipe is not hard. It's work.
It's
work
just...
and doing the right things. Let me see here. What other sports? I know you throw the javelin. Tell me a little bit about that and how, like, your overall training has, or the mindset to work hard. How has that gone, and how much does that factor into your life now?
Javelin's actually, it's really fun. It's kind of sometimes my escape or my hobby. I don't know how to refer to it as, from softball sometimes, because I do so much softball, but it's so funny because it helps. It's like, I might not be doing my softball stuff, but I go and I do javelin stuff, and it still relates to softball somehow, right?
Yeah.
I always compare javelin. Everyone thinks javelin's similar in a sense because you're throwing, when it's actually kind of not. You throw completely opposite. But the similar thing with javelin and softball is the lower half with your hips. It's very similar to how you hit a ball. And that rotation with your lower half is the same rotation you want to have when you're throwing the javelin, actually.
Yep.
So I would find, I don't know, I think multi-cross training, or whatever you kind of want to call it, cross training, I think that kind of helped me a lot in other aspects. I know I throw from my right side, but I hit on my left side. So for me, it actually kind of helped balance out my hips, because you get so dominant on one side that I kind of created, oh my God, I'm going to say this word wrong, ambidextrous, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I learned how to control my body movements from my lower side. And I think it really helped me apply it to my hitting, because I'm like, okay, if I could rotate it this way, then how can I rotate it on my left side the same exact direction? And I think it helped me actually become a very more successful hitter, actually, with my lower half. So
yeah, I
like it. It's so much fun.
It's no different, right? I mean, the power comes from the ground, mm-hmm. and you have to use your lower half to get that going. And so, no, I totally can see that. And you called it a hobby, but, like, from what I understand, you're pretty elite when it comes to javelin, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. People might say.
You can say it. State records, anything like that?
Technically, I don't hold the state record, but I do in a weird way, because it wasn't officially marked. That's just a whole nother story.
Right, right.
I won 2 state championships. I was a runner-up. This last year, I wasn't able to compete in it, actually, because I kind of hurt my knee a little bit. So I didn't think it was smart to continue just because, again, going to college for softball, didn't want to risk that, don't want to hurt that, that opportunity and everything. But yeah, I'm pretty decent. I competed in 2 nationals in Oregon, and I finished 5th my freshman year, 4th my sophomore year. Didn't compete my junior year just because it was a big summer. So
yeah.
But yeah.
Someone told me, I don't know if this is true, but someone told me that you were like almost like Olympic like level, or is that true? Or
yeah. So it's so funny because people get a little confused with that because I'm not Olympic level, but I had an opportunity that if I threw, I was like 12 feet short from qualifying for the Olympic trials. So
wow.
To go and compete with former Olympians who throw the javelin and everything, and possibly, I mean, I don't know, maybe I could have slinged one really, really far. Like, you never know, right? It is just one throw. So, yeah, I mean, I had an opportunity this year if I hit a certain distance, but I kind of fell short, again, with my knee, but it's all good. Yeah, I had a chance.
Great experience, right?
Of course.
And then you got to spend some time with your sister, JJ.
Yeah,
who's
that's
a junior, right? And throws the discus.
Yep, she throws disc,
right?
shot, and hammer. Yeah.
Got it. You know, she used to play softball too, right?
Yeah, she did.
I
JJ
heard
would have
back
been really
in the day.
good. She would have been better than me. She would have been better.
I'm going to tell you, I was going to bring that up because your mom told me one time that from an athletic standpoint, she thought maybe she could have been as good or better than you.
Yeah, no, I
don't know how true that is, but
JJ,
that's awesome.
JJ was she still is a phenomenal athlete. I remember she just picked up on things a lot faster than I did. And I think that's what made her so good at such a young age. And she was strong, and I've always been envious of this because she's always been able to block out the mental side when it comes to over analyzing things. JJ did a very good job at just playing, and sometimes that's where I got myself in trouble, and I still do sometimes get myself in trouble, and it's honestly more from a hitting standpoint, is the mental side and trusting your ability and trusting that you're a great athlete and you're a great hitter. And with JJ, there was never a thought in her head. And I think she was at a young age, she was such a great hitter and such a great, she was a catcher and a third baseman. She was just athletic. She's strong. She still is strong. I think if she wanted to, I think she would have been probably better than me, or we were toe and toe, probably, for sure.
Yeah. Does she miss softball? Do you guys ever talk about that?
She does. I think she said, I don't know if she misses it or if she just wonders what would have actually panned out if she continued. I think it's just more of the what ifs. Because her heart is in track and she loves track, and I think it's a good environment for her, and she does a great job. She's such a social butterfly, and track is so positive and everyone's friends with everyone, and I think it's a great environment for her. So
I heard it's a much different environment than softball.
Yeah.
In that regard. How come she just didn't play in high school? Just for the fun of it.
I don't know. JJ's a character. She always she hates being compared to me, right? And so it's well, I'm with Gabby's younger sister, and it's Gabby's younger sister's also playing softball and this and that. And so I think for her, she wanted to create her own path. And it's funny because she started throwing and then I started throwing. So I think to her, she's stop following me, stop copying me. But I think she wanted to go and start and doing her own thing and kind of understanding we are Garcia sisters, right? And we're both athletes and we're both phenomenal in what we do. But at the same time, we're both phenomenal in our separate areas, right? Rather than we're both really good at one thing and who's the better one? I mean, it was kind of weird and funky at a time because I started doing throwing some disc for fun just to help my team score some extra points. And it was hard, I finally understood now what JJ felt because JJ was a lot better than me. And so I'd have people approach me and be like, oh, you're Juliana's older sister, right? And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm her older sister. It was weird. right? So it's just, she wanted to create her own identity for herself, and I'm just so proud of her. She's doing amazing, and she's coming into her senior year, and she got some colleges looking at her, and I'm really excited. I'm kind of curious where she's gonna end up. So, but yeah,
That's awesome. So both of you guys getting ready to move on. Like, she's got one more year, like you said. Mom's gonna, hopefully go on and coach for many years with us. And then what's Dad doing? What's Jason gonna do with all his free time?
Oh, I don't know. My dad's probably gonna do the same thing he always does: come home, work out, hang out with the dogs, chill, watch movies, support us in any way he can, humanly possible. My dad's just a laid back guy. He follows us around. He's just here for he's here for the ride, honestly. So I'm actually quite curious myself what he's gonna end up doing when both of us are out of the house. Because I know my mom's doing. She's coming to coach with you. She might actually help out a little bit with Basha too. So,
I heard that.
So
That's
I
awesome.
don't know.
Yeah, Dad's super chill. I hope I get to see him a little bit more. He's always been great. Over the years that I've known him. You have anything else? Any final thoughts that you want to get out there? Anything that you like? If you could right now tell, that 10 or 11-year-old Gabby, like, what would be the main things that you would never want her to forget?
I would tell her that it's going to pay off, and that the tears, the blood, the arguing, all of that, it's going to hurt in the moment, but you just got to keep pushing through it. You just got to keep pushing through it and outwork everyone around you. Just keep outworking everyone around you and keep being positive, and don't ever let negative emotions or other people bring you down, because at the end of the day, it's what you want, and you're doing this for yourself. You're not doing this for others. And continue to be a good person and kind to others around you, because you never know what anyone else is going through, and their adversities that they are having, and just you can do it. That I would just tell her that she can do it, and that her dreams are possible, and they're just in her grasp. She just doesn't know it yet. I think that's just honestly what I would tell her. Awesome.
Yeah, and I've watched over the years your parents, give and support you in your dreams. And so, hopefully, I know not everybody has that opportunity, but, that's what coaches are for, and that's what we do, and try to help kids get, reach their goals and their dreams. And we're going to continue to do that. But I appreciate you jumping on. It's been awesome catching up.
Yeah.
I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
At Oklahoma, and I hope that you go out there and compete and reach your dreams and your goals, and I look forward to watching you and hopefully seeing you during the break.
Oh, yes, of course. And I wouldn't be surprised if I'll be out at your guys' practices when I'm back down here in Arizona. So
I'm going to hold you to that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'll definitely be
all
around.
All right, Gabby.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you so much for jumping on.